me to the moon. Let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, darling, kiss me. Fill my heart with song. Let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Living Arts. I'm your host, Jackie Suarez. Thank you for tuning in. We have a great show for you. Really excited to introduce these guys to you. We have Wali Ali and Porter Carroll of Wali Ali and the Tambourine Band. Both have long distinguished careers in the music business, and I'm so glad you guys are here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Very nice to be here.
Absolutely. You know, so we're going to start with you, Mr. Ali. You've been in the business of quite some time. You know, I've seen so many credits to so many people you've collaborated with. How was it that you started, getting into the music business, or when did you start to play the guitar?
I started playing the guitar when I was in the 4th grade, and my brother, who's 10 years older than I, bought a guitar to the house, and I would just be fascinated when listening to him strum a little, learned some chords, and started to learn some blues licks, and things progressed from there. Started to get into jazz and funk, and then playing with friends in the neighborhood. I'm from New Rochelle originally, and it just took off from there.
Oh, awesome. So did obviously you had some lessons with the guitar. How did that come together, your musical education?
That came along a little later, but I'm basically self-taught.
Really?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. No, that really is. Like, what was your first professional gig where you were paid to play?
My first professional gig was in New Rochelle at Glen Island Casino for $5.
So you're like one of our Westchester favorite son here.
Absolutely, I still have that $5 still.
Really?
Yeah, I think that was probably the best paying gig I've ever had.
Well, you kept it as a little keepsake.
Absolutely. You just go in the barbershops, you see the dollars on the wall.
Good luck.
Sign. That's right.
Unfortunately, I'm not in a position to hold on to money like that, or frame it, or do anything like that with it. But it must be nice. Now, you have also produced and worked on Broadway. I saw in your bio that you collaborated on something on Broadway. Now, you supervised the performers that were...
Well, Taj Mahal wrote the music for a play written by Langston Hughes and Zora Neale Hurston entitled Mulebone.
Right.
And I was lucky enough to be involved in the production of that. And I was the band leader for that while it ran. And we also did an album of the score. And it was a very good experience. It was a lot of fun.
What was the best part of being in something like that? What was the most exciting part for you?
Well, being around the actresses, of course. That was the most exciting part. Are you kidding? But other than that, I mean, it's the fact that you are going downtown, you're on Broadway, you're playing the blues, you're playing your heart out, you're doing it every day, and nothing beats that feeling for me.
Awesome. So are you able to, I mean, obviously you read and write music, and because you said you were self-taught.
I'm mainly self-taught.
Okay.
I've taken classes, I've had lessons from various people, but I've also had some associations with some masters. People like George Benson, for instance. Earlier in my career, I was around. I would go sit underneath these people and just watch them and talk to them. And you pick up, if your mind is open, you pick up information, you pick up knowledge everywhere. That's how I learned. That's how I learn now.
Okay. So of all the people that you've collaborated with, who would you say was had the biggest impact on you?
That's an interesting question. I would think that the biggest impact on me in terms of a collaborator is Porter.
Mr. Carroll Jr. So how did you, well, let's talk a little bit about the Tambourine Band now.
Let me back up. What
back up on that one.
What did he say?
He said that you were the most influential artist, or the person that's had the most impact on his life, musically.
That could be.
Musically.
That could go two ways. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah,
So how did you guys come to work together? Was it prior to the Tambourine Band?
No, the Tambourine Band is really our first effort together. I've known Porter since I was, I don't know, 19, 20 or something like that. I remember we met in Sam Ash, which is a music store in White Plains. I was in the back strumming a little guitar, and he came in and saw me strumming, and we have been friends ever since. But as he will get into, he was working with Atlantic Star at the time, and I was doing other things. I was playing as a sideman with various jazz artists, Stanley Turrentine, Lonnie Liston Smith, Norman Connors, Bobby Humphrey, and other people too. And that's my thing. But we didn't really get the chance to work together until about 4 or 5 years ago when we started this group.
Okay. So, Mr. Carroll, you've also been in the business quite some time.
Yes.
Now, what would you consider yourself more of, a songwriter, or tell us a little bit about yourself?
It's going in stages. I mean, I started off as a drummer. I mean, from as far back as I can remember, I was playing drums somewhere. You know, I found a picture at home that my parents had crawling around, and there was a drum there. You know, and so I really, like him, was self-taught. And then probably around the 5th or 6th grade, got a group of guys together, you know, had a little band, and you're talking about that $5. We used to make, we were 5 of us, and we'd make $25 a night, and that was a great job, you know. We'd split it in a whole bit, and that band stayed together for about 3 years. And then probably in the middle of high school, about the 11th year of high school, we put together a group called New Band, and that turned into Atlantic Star. So from day one, really, to me, it's been about music. And again, like his parents weren't too happy. I think mine were happy about it, but it wasn't the thing to encourage at that time, you know, because of what was going on in the country and who we are as people. It was all about moving things along in a different way. We had done the music thing already. It's like let's go into what you're into, you know, the professionals, you know, it's where we're really trying to go. But I guess I had, for however you want to call it, I was just drawn to this music thing, and I always say I couldn't walk and chew gum at the same time. I just had to go the music way, and so I was able to convince my friends to kind of do the same thing, and they came out of school, and we moved to California and changed our name to Atlantic Star, and we had a really nice run doing that.
Where you were playing the drums for Atlantic Star?
I was a drummer there, and I sang as well. Okay. But I wasn't the main singer there at all. It wasn't until I got out of the group, or when I left the group, I went to CBS as a staff songwriter, and one of the ways I could save money was to sing my demos. You know? And I wanted to concentrate on singing to the point where I stopped playing drums, and so I got into the songwriting thing. Obviously, that was my job, and you know, underneath it all, I was learning how to sing. I thought I was really learning how to sing at a higher level, concentrating on it, and I stayed with that for about 5, 6 years at CBS, and then I did a freelance for a number of years, and I had some covers with the Temptations and Luther Vandross and Denise Williams and Jane Fonda, you know. You know, Will Downing was a favorite, Bob James. So I had a nice writing career. And in the meantime, the singing thing was going on. But again, it was sort of, you know, in my head, it was like something I really wanted to do, but there was really no place for me to do it. And then I got out of the business altogether. I went to the Journal News. I got into advertising. I got into graphic design at the Journal News. I just got out of the business altogether.
How long did you do that?
I did that for 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And I think I don't know, I ran into Wali somewhere, and I don't know exactly how it happened, but he said, you know, you need to do some music again, you know. I have this concept, this idea about sort of, what I like to say is we're sort of emulating the radio of when we grew up. Unlike radio today, it's very compartmentalized. At the time when we were coming up, you heard everything through that on one station, you know, James Brown, Frank Sinatra, the Beatles, the Temptations. Everybody would be on one
right, there weren't
station.
That many stations.
Yeah, you know, so it's like he sort of had that vision of kind of let's not replicate it, but let's do something with that feel to it, or those kinds of songs, but new arrangements.
Okay.
Let's do that. So after kind of talking about it, we started off as a duo, and then it sort of morphed into now what is a 5-piece band, and I think we're ready to go to the next level now. You know, so this is a lot of fun. It's sort of, to me, it's sort of liberating in a way, because we were talking about is that when you're growing up, it's sort of an expectation of what you're supposed to do, what kind of music you're supposed to play, who you're supposed to be, all that kind of stuff. And you get to a certain age, it's like, wait a minute, you know, I kind of like to do what I want to do. And this whole thing sort of has that feel to it. It's what we like doing, regardless of what someone might say we should do or used to do, you know. So this is good.
Yeah, you know, we actually touched on that. I guess, you know, you come to a point where you may be working at something or have whatever job you have during the day, but creatively, you're kind of stifled and you want some way to express that.
Right.
So, you know, you guys kind of came together at that point. What are some of the goals that you have for the band? What, you know, where do you see it going?
What do you want to do with this?
Make a lot of money. That's the most important thing, because that provides you with the ability to do the music full time, to play for a larger audience, to devote more of your time into practice and writing, arranging, working with your other musicians and all of the rest. So it has to be a functioning, profitable enterprise. I just wanted to say the reason why we got together, though, is I started taking vocal lessons from him. And when I was in law school, incidentally, and because I wanted to keep the music going, even though I was studying law, and I would go every Wednesday night to a studio in Mamaroneck that Porter has an association with. It's run by Chip Taylor, correct?
Well, we're co.
That's right, Chip Taylor, who wrote Wild Thing, You Make My Heart Sing.
Angelina Jolie's uncle.
That's
Really?
right, yeah.
6 degrees of separation, right?
There you go. So I would go over there and get vocal lessons, and he'd help me with my voice, which is really
He was great.
police. So I would do that, and then we'd start working on some things, and that's how we got together, doing what we're doing now.
Right.
You know, it evolved from that, essentially.
That's right.
That's terrific. You know, you'd mentioned, you know, we know what you are currently, you know, your project, because you're in private practice. Did I hear something about Haulin Oats earlier?
Oh, you asked me what I did during the day. And I
That's
said,
right.
Oh, yeah, I'm a full-time musician again. One day I picked up my phone, my cell phone, and there was a message. It said, hey, you interested in being a percussionist with H&O? It was real cryptic, you know, kind of a cryptic note. I said, well, oh, it turns out it was my friend who's been with Haulin Oats for like 10 years. Apparently Bruce came along and took their regular percussionist. So after going through a number of people, they came up on my name. Although I was never a percussionist per se. I did it, you know, in private. I was invited to come to Daryl's house, who lives in upstate New York, and did a quick audition. And he said, "Hey, you good with this?" I said, "I'm good with it if you're good with it." So ever since, and I've been working with him, and it's been since March of this year.
He's famous now.
He's famous now.
Big head.
Big ego.
Big heads.
So,
Melon.
so what is it that you guys? What are you guys working on exactly? Are you working on putting together an album, or are you going to go on tour with them? They're going to be with Haulin Oats.
I'm just kidding. With Haulin Oats, it's actually 3 projects in one.
Okay.
Daryl Hall actually has a television show now. That it started out as an internet show, and he's got like 50 episodes in the can. And now he's just gone, they just signed a deal, well, it's just gone syndicated. It's on PIX now. Comes on late nights, Saturdays, actually Sunday mornings. They run two shows per night, very late night, like 1 in the morning or something like that. So when you finish one of those, the comedy show that everybody's been watching for ages, you switch over to PIX and you see Live from Daryl's House. That's one thing that I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a regular on that. And Daryl also, he takes that same concept where there's really, you know, artists come to his house and he'll learn a few of their songs, and then they collaborate on a couple of his songs, and then he does like a cooking segment, and it's really cool, you know. So anyway, he takes that whole concept and he brings it to the concert stage. I mean, actually, it looks like his house on the stage, and so that's now that the television show is starting to really gain in popularity. People are coming out to see his solo show, and then the big thing, the big one is Haulin Oats. So we're getting ready to start a tour in September.
That's awesome. So with the Tambourine Band, when you're, I guess, is it your hope one day to get a CD going? And if so, how would you, when you rearrange or you make a different, let's say you take a popular song from the Beatles, from any big performer, Cat Stevens, and you do a different arrangement. What's the legality involved with getting that on your album or using that on your CD?
Oh, well, we're not the first band to do cover songs.
Oh, sure.
You just have to go and seek permission through the proper channels, and it's usually granted. There's no reason for it not to be, because they would get a percentage of whatever sales.
Okay.
So that's just essentially the legality of it. We choose songs which we find our audience loves. Portions of our show, it's like a sing-along almost, you know. People feel so comfortable and happy to hear those songs that they grew up listening to. But we do new arrangements of it, something that makes it fresh, makes it, you know, a nice change of pace, you know. It's
well, definitely. I mean, like, just from, you know, I had an opportunity to hear you play a little, and I can kind of see, you know, how that works, and it's definitely pleasing, you know, to just reminisce about, you know, a song that you heard, you know, back in the day. So what's one of the favorites that you've redone?
Well,
or what are some of the favorites?
Wichita Lineman, which we'll perform with you, you know, for you. We did Frank Sinatra's song, Fly Me to the Moon. So that's a jazz song right there in Wichita Lineman. Country, pop, what would you say that is? Okay, but we do Beatles, we do The Doors, we do James Brown, we do Sly Stone, we do Prince. It's an eclectic blend of music that we try to present to people. And sometimes we'll go and we'll play certain places and we'll kind of lean one way. You know,
based on the crowd, which
based on the crowd.
But you know what? Not to cut you off, but I've noticed that we've also gone in places where you wouldn't think that certain things would work, and just tried out these things, and they work. There, you know, you never know. You never know. It's a matter of what we want to bring to the table that day. And
I can kind of see how you guys kind of, you know, very laid back. Maybe don't have a playlist all together, and you kind of just go with the moment. Is that kind of how you're operating?
Well, at first we were kind of insecure about what we do. We didn't think it would necessarily play in an urban setting, but we were pleasantly surprised that the audience in a few clubs that we played in who leaned towards, you know, more aggressive, harder music, they loved it. They loved it, and that kind of gave us more strength and
builds your confidence. Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, I mean, depending on the tunes that you're choosing, you know, it's definitely going to transcend, you know, various groups.
That's right.
Age groups or.
That's right.
Everybody knows everybody knows the songs. It's just a matter of, well, you don't hear them in your nightclub or that place or whatever. But when you just put it in front of everybody, you know, it's live, the whole bit, and they're like, oh yeah, I know that tune, blah blah blah. They sing along, even though I sang it in the, you know, over here, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
They sing along because I like to think that we.
You know, our audiences are like that. It's reflected in the composition of our audiences.
Yeah.
You know, we have younger people come out too, and you know, I'll do some Biggie Smalls, I'll do some rapping. You know, so it can get raw too.
It goes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you know, your performances are probably, you know, a little off the hook and really entertaining. You know, so tell us about what you have coming up.
Okay, well, we have an engagement in the park outside in White Plains, Yosemite Park. That's on Thursday, the 16th of August. We'll be back at the winery at St. George's in Mohegan Lake on Friday, August 24th.
Okay, now I meant to ask you something just really quickly. Do you see yourself writing any new material? for the Tambourine Band?
It's yes, I do. I think that it will evolve at the right moment, though.
Okay.
We talk about it all the time. It's just when you don't have a quote unquote name sometimes, it's tough to do your own material and keep the audience engaged for a long period of time. So
Right.
we battle with it. We've played around with some original things here and there. You know, I just think we need to just gain a little more stature before we can take some chances like that. What do you think?
I think that's part of it. Also, it's time consuming to write.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
emotionally consuming to write. And
Have you written anything so far?
We have songs that
Okay.
could be used
Could be used.
for
So the beginnings
for the
of-
Tambourine Band. Yeah, we have material, but we, you know, in writing additional material, it's like he said, it's pretty emotional, pretty
and
taxing.
I've just found it hard enough for me to just play the guitar. You know, I devote so much time into trying to just make one note sound pretty. You know, and hopefully it comes through, and that's has a lot of meaning for me to be able to do that.
I wanted to say that to me, and we go back and forth with this. To me, it's essentially a nightclub act. You know, and I always think about when you go into certain rooms, you know, some high-end rooms or things like that. I always see us in those places because traditionally they play the song list is from the first 50 or 60 years of the 20th century. Well, those people who attended those rooms most of them have passed on. Baby boomers now kind of inhabit those rooms now, and they're like us. I mean, we are baby boomers, so their classics, as opposed to maybe Gershwin, now are the Beatles, now are James Brown. You know,
Right.
so
Or if you take you know, a friend of mine said Jodeci one day was like.
yeah, you know, it's a classic too. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like I like to think I would like to see us kind of change those rooms over. The playlist in those rooms now, or something that we can all kind of identify with.
Yeah.
You know.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time.
Oh.
You know, I thought you were joking with me earlier about the website, but how would someone get more information about Wali Ali and the Tambourine Band? How would they get in touch with you personally? Why don't you give our audience that information?
I have a website. It's called Wali Ali. That's WALIALI.com. And Mr. Carroll has a website as well.
PorterCarrollJr.com.
Well, listen, I want to thank you both for coming here. This has been wildly entertaining. I thank you for performing for us. We're actually now going to, you're going to see some footage of these two fine gentlemen singing for us, and I hope you like it. I hope that you go and see them and catch up with them as they perform throughout Westchester and beyond. I want to thank you for tuning in to Living Arts. Check out the website, www.livingartsinwestchester.com. Like us on Facebook. Tune in again soon. We love you. Thank you. Peace.
If I were a carpenter and you were a lady, would you marry me anyway? Would you have my baby? If a tinker were my trade, would you still find me carrying the pots I made, following behind me? Save my love through loneliness, save my love through sorrow. I give you my loneliness, give me your tomorrow. If I work my hands in wood, will you still love me? Answer me, yes I would. I put you above me. If a mill were my trade, at a mill wheel grinding, would you miss my color box, soft shoes shining? Sing my love through loneliness, sing my love through sorrow. I give you my onlyness, give me you. Your tomorrow. If I were a carpenter and you were a lady, if I were a carpenter and you were a lady. I am a lineman for the county, and I drive the main road, looking in the sun for another overload. I am singing in the wire, I can hear you through the wire, and the Wichita lineman is still on the line. I know I need a small vacation, but it don't look like rain. And if it snows, that stretch down south won't ever stand the strain. And I need you more than want you, and I want you for all time. And the Wichita lineman is still on the line. And I need you more than want you, and I want you for all time. And the Wichita lineman is still on the line, still on the line, still on the line. And I'm doing fine.